Hi, my name is Rishabh Jaiswal. I'm the founder and high performance director at Sporting Ethos. It's been 1 month since Olympics got over, and now I want to talk about one thing. I've been keeping my silence for all this while, but I wanted to talk about what happened on August 7th when most of us in India woke up looking forward to the gold medal match for Vinesh Phogat. And we all know what happened. She got disqualified for weighing in excess of her weight category of 50 kgs by 100 grams. Now, there's been a lot of talk about it. People have commented about it, sports fans, journalists, people from the sports industry, and people gave different opinions. Obviously, they gave credit to the athletes for putting in their best effort, and there's no question about it. The athletes are putting their best foot forward in terms of whatever guidance they get, and they are absolutely motivated to follow whatever is needed to perform at their best. People also glorified this entire effort of how weight loss is achieved, and also give credit to the support staff. Some people in official and unofficial capacity commented that it is a standard procedure in combat sports to drastically lose weight, which is not incorrect. And some people also highlighted in certain newspapers about the risk of rapid weight loss and how it would impact the health of the athlete. So at the end of the day, the questions were about how much of an effort is required to win a medal, what are the kind of sacrifices go in, what is the risk, what is the benefit, right? So that has been majorly the topic of conversation, apart from one or two people who've actually spoken about what I want to speak about right now. And that is about a larger aspect of our mindset in terms of how we approach sports and our athlete performance, high performance. Now, high performance essentially is about consistently performing at the highest level and also having longevity in modern day sport, right? And there are four main pillars of high performance: your skill, your physical aspect, your mental aspect, and technical/tactical aspect. Now, in combat sports in India and generally across sports, things are obviously changing, but still largely, and I've been in this field for the last 12 years, I've been working dedicatedly with athletes from the grassroots to the elite level with my team of experts here at Sporting Ethos. Generally, when we are looking at most of our athletes going to the elite level, majority of them, a big majority of them, are still survivors. And by survivors, I mean that athletes who mostly relied upon their skill, their technical and tactical ability, which obviously came from their coaches, and as well as the mental aspect, which mostly has come naturally to them, and a few of them who work with sports psychologists. And of course, some of them work on their physical aspect as well. But here I want to talk about this weight loss incidents, and then put it in perspective the ideas I have about the mindset aspect. Right? So when you're losing 1 to 2 weight categories of weight to be able to perform at the highest level, to be able to win a medal, the thought process typically is, and that's what we hear directly day in and day out from our athletes also who we encounter, is that you mostly would be taller, so you would have a bigger, longer reach. And the second, you would have a bigger frame, or you will be more strong compared to the other athlete, right? So that is the belief system with most of the coaches and athletes, and the systems approach these combat sports, which are classified by weight. And Olympics obviously makes it slightly more difficult because some of the weight categories don't exist. So then athletes have to choose, do I go into a higher weight category where I meet a taller, stronger person, or I go into a lower weight category where I might have a perceived advantage, right? So the first part is definitely the risk part from a completely scientific aspect. The recommendation which is there for even rapid weight loss within a 7-day span is not more than 7%. So if your natural weight, let's say someone who weighs 55 or 56 kgs naturally, they would probably, in a relatively safe aspect with little impact on health, although if you do it time and again every few months, that's also going to have a bigger impact on health. But let's say, okay, with a relatively less impact on health, 7% of a athlete weighing 56 kgs would be between 3.5 to 4 kgs, right? Within a week's time. What our athletes, and specifically Vinesh, was trying to accomplish was over 2 kgs within a span of a few hours. And that is where it becomes very challenging. It has an impact on your health. It has an impact on your immediate performance, your reaction time, your ability to be able to get instructions from your coach, your own energy levels. There is a lot of research around that. And in the long term, especially for female athletes and even male athletes, we have something called as REDS, relative energy deficiency syndrome, and also their percentage body fat has lot of hormonal aspects which get impacted, including the menstrual health of the athlete, which we see on a regular basis. So definitely it's a big health risk. Now, this health risk is being justified in the minds of the athlete because they want to get a medal and they want to give it all. And yes, in one way that is really amazing, but at the same time, is it the only way to achieve high performance? And that is what my question is. So here we are not talking about not taking risk and it's okay not to get a medal but reach the Olympics. No, we are still talking about performance. But now the point I want to make is that why in the first place do we assume that at our natural weight or maybe a couple of kgs natural weight, we will not be able to perform, or even 1 or 2 kgs above our natural weight, we will not be able to perform at our best and be better than the other person? There's almost a conceding of defeat that physically we will not be as strong. And that's not just coming from a belief system, it's also how the entire ecosystem and most of the processes are in place. So most of the sports, if you look at the camps which happen before major tournaments, these are 2, 3, 4 month camps which are happening, which are mostly very grueling in terms of practice. So they're mostly in season or season, which means a very high volume and intensity of sport-specific skill training going on. And while athletes are participating in physical fitness, is mostly cardio work or some strength work maximum twice a week. In certain sports like swimming, you often have the sessions clubbed with the skill session, which is scientifically not the best way to do it. So point I'm trying to make is that a structured emphasis on strength and conditioning is lacking. So while athletes may feel they're lifting weight and they're working on their physical fitness, in the scheme of things is actually not very structured. So typically an elite athlete should be taking 12 to 16 weeks of off season in a year, right? But here we have most of our athletes continuously being at that level of training where they're mostly in season or pre-season. Off season basically means not playing any competition, making a significant jump in your physical fitness. While most of the athletes are actually nursing their injuries even if they do take a break from competition. And this starts happening at the pre-elite level, right? So the athletes who've reached at the elite level, mostly, with the exception of a few, are survivors. So the entire way we approach our processes is that it has to, when we talk about sports science and medicine, it's not good enough to use technology or use big machines or big equipment. It is not good enough to just put the experts in place that, okay, there's a physio, there's a nutritionist, there is a strength and conditioning coach. You also have to understand and ensure that the system works, that people are speaking with each other, and the sports science staff has a say in things, right? The coaches have to be open enough to be able to understand what they are trying to say. So I think those things are still not working in majority of the situations, whether it's a private setup or a government-backed setup, like a Sports Authority of India. Now, while certain centers, both in the side centers as well as the private centers, there are certain places which are doing well. But majorly, when we talk about centers which are outside the scope of these big facilities and big centers, it's the elementary understanding of this approach is completely lacking. It's all about skill, right? So that is the main issue I want to highlight. That now going ahead, I feel that this incident serves as a very big reminder and should be a lesson and a wake-up call for all of us to understand that we have to put the athlete first. And by that we mean it's not just about giving them the funding or giving them the platform or giving them only the coaching, but ensuring that your systems are in place which actually scientifically ensure that the athlete is improving every cycle. The chances of injuries are going down. So we work with elite athletes and we work with grassroots athletes over the last 12 years, right? Last year itself, we worked with 2 athletes in a foundation who are combat athletes. In fact, 4 or 5. With 2 of them, it took us 6 to 7 months to help them understand and realize that playing at their natural weight actually was much better for them, right? And one of them made it to the Asian Games as well, right? So they realized once they started actually playing at their natural weight, their fitness level, their strength, explosive power, agility, everything was great. The injuries and niggles they were carrying reduced. The health-related issues around their weight were reduced significantly or almost disappeared. And that is when they finally understood. After 6 months of back and forth counseling with a team of experts, they were able to realize that playing at their natural weight could still help them achieving high performance. Right? There's an example of a boxer, Jasmine, who competed. And big credit to her that she made it all the way. But if you looked at her bout with the Indonesian boxer who was a veteran, who was a silver medalist in the last Olympics, the Indonesian boxer was just too quick, too agile, too strong. Jasmine, although she was much taller, almost a foot taller, and she had great reach, maybe it was, again, the dehydration, the loss of weight, but you could see a big difference. if you look at our sprinters, like it's so great to see that Indian sprinters are actually competing at the Olympic level and winning medals at the international level. But if you even as sports fans, you would notice, if you notice the musculature and the frames of our Indian athletes compared to the others, there's a huge difference. There's a big physical gap. And that's not genetic, because there's this tendency to say that, oh, this is genetic in nature and this whole talk about science is theoretical. No. But had these same athletes or a similar bunch of athletes at the pre-elite level receive the right kind of physical training and nutrition with this level of skill and performance, I think it could be much better. And we could have more people coming into the Olympics, and then the chances of the medals increasing. So again, I want to summarize the same point, that it is very, very critical for all of us in the sports industry and for the sports fans to understand that skill and ability, we need to back ourselves, but we need to be more open-minded, more structured in how we help our athletes get on top together in all the 4 aspects of skill: physical, mental, technical, and tactical. Only then we are going to be able to become a sporting powerhouse, and that has to start at the pre-elite level. Elite level athletes, as I said, are survivors. Kudos to them. Nothing against them. But if one thing this Olympics has actually done for us is given us a wake-up call. If you really want to dominate sports, forget talking about medals. Even if you want to start having more people at the Olympics, we need to start fixing the bottleneck, which is a scientific development of athletes. And scientific is again not the use of heavy equipment or jargon or numbers. It is communication, it is approach, it is understanding and working as a team, whether it's a coach, whether it's a sports science staff, and whether it's the administration or people who are funding those athletes. So let's get down to the basics and let's try to work on this. And I hope that this message spreads across. If you're seeing this video and you see this value, we have to bring, happy to share our thoughts, happy to give guidelines to the athletes and coaches, and happy to debate over this as well, because as people from the scientific community, it's always important for us to quote things logically, research back things. And next week, we'll be recording a podcast with our sports nutritionist, who's a qualified sports science expert, and we'll be talking about this topic called the weight debate. And we'll not just limit it to combat sports. We'll talk about all sports, because there's a lot of things around weight. Quickly, if I have to mention that if an athlete is heavier, they can't move fast. So that is a perception which is so much ingrained in parents of young athletes and coaches of young athletes. So those are some of the topics we're going to talk about, but that's it. This is something I've been really wanting to share. The few people who worked with us in the past, who are really understand the science, have echoed this sentiment, but it has been lost between all the chaos and the noise and the disappointment which was being expressed. So I hope this makes sense, and I hope that we can start working on this at a larger level. Thank you.